Advocate Jane Makena at her firm's office in Nairobi. Busy with her office work, Makena is a mother of one and a budding writer of children's literature.
Advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I started practicing in 2013. So basically in practice, I have like 7 years in practice as a lawyer. I've worked for other law firms for a long time.
After a 7-year stint in employment in different law firms, she charted her way into self-employment and began her own company alongside a few partners in late 2019. When the company was slowly picking up, the COVID-19 pandemic struck the country and people were advised to stay at home, leading to closure of businesses. Makena and her company were not left behind.
We depend on the lands registry for us to move our things, for those buying and selling property, constructions that are ongoing. And really, with all these government offices closed, we are basically doing nothing. We had no work. And for me personally, there was no work that was coming in. And the work that I earned was not actually even moving because these registries that have been closed.
In the midst of a pandemic, staying at home with no work to do, Advocate Makena reinvented her dream of writing and publishing children's books, something that she began way back at the university, but has been an unpublished author.
I revisited my manuscripts and even wrote a fresh one. This is a fresh book. This is called My Dad, My Hero. It's a fresh book, My Dad, My Hero. It's actually about coronavirus. It speaks about, I wrote it during the COVID-19 period. It's a story about families. It's a story about the challenges and the good things that Corona has brought to families, about restoration.
Themes in her two published books revolve around encouraging children from underprivileged backgrounds, as well as challenging them to scale the heights of their dreams.
I read a lot. I would read set books for Form 4s. Those are my sister's set books when I'm still in primary school. I read books like The Concubine. I read books like this one for Ken Waribora, Sikunjema. I read books like every set book. Still in primary school, I read it and I borrowed them, all of them. So when I finished Form 4, I started writing. I had a passion to write, and I started writing storybooks. And I accumulated a lot of manuscripts throughout my college life, throughout my campus life. But I never published any book.
Makena says celebrated children's author Barbara Kimenye found her passion of writing children's literature, which she vows to cultivate until it blossoms.
I have a series that I'm creating for kids. It just speaks about what children really go through in life. But I also write short stories. The short stories I write are for kids who are not really kids, but people who are above 14 years. I have a story in the collection that I'm doing. It's gonna be called The Reign of the Dress and Other Stories. The Reign of the Dress basically talks about corruption. It's a story that our youth should be able to read and see corruption in Kenya and how the dress will reign.
Makena's parting shot has to do with cultivating our passions, as well as making good of every situation, whether good or bad.
Everything works for good for those who love God. So I'm that person who knows that even bad things, somehow God will turn them out for good. Even this pandemic, for me, God has turned it out for good, because these manuscripts would have slept and forgotten, and no one would have ever read my stories. But now people will read my stories. I will leave a legacy. If I die tomorrow, this book is still in the market. So I've left a legacy. So I'm saying, let's just know that every bad thing turns out for good.
Such a time of a pandemic when people have lost hope and are resigned, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya found time to write a children's book during the stay-at-home time to encourage children even in times of uncertainties. Mwangi Maina, TV 47, Nairobi.
Wow, Mwangi Maina, I was looking at you, listen to her, like you're wondering, oh my God, she accomplished all this during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I remembered,